All right, it's winter, winter chicken dinner. Donald Trump met with Kim Jong Un, and here's the bottom line up front. Victory. Okay? So what I want to I don't want to dig too deep into the talks themselves. Those are, you can get the transcript. I don't think there was a recording. I got to listen to the president's speech this morning after the talks were over, and it was solid. There was one point that I wish he'd been a little stronger on. I'll get to that in a minute. But let's just look at what we got. Going into this thing, the preconditions, and that's an important word. I'm going to get back to that. Before Trump even showed up, before the summit even occurred, Kim has already, there hasn't been a test launch since December. He's already decommissioning and shutting down nuclear test facilities. The big facility is done, shut down. That's done. I would, as much as I want to, I would almost, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that the denuclearization is all but done. The actual decommissioning, deconstruction of the materials and the weapons, that hasn't even started yet. But this is a case of half well done is this is a case of well begun is half done. So as a first step to denuclearization and actual peace, the end of the Korean conflict, let's face it, Donald Trump had a no-shit Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall moment. And that moment was last year when he went and spoke to the UN, and he toted in his big brass nuts and flopped them out on the table and said, if little Rocket Man keeps playing his games, I will destroy his country. When Trump opened that can of whoop-ass, ready to burn North Korea off the map, that was his tear down this wall moment. Now remember, Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, that was 87. It still took a little time. The wall actually fell in 89, almost a full 2 years later. Yes, 87 to 89 is 2 years. It was a little bit earlier in the year. Blah, blah, blah. But Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. 2 years later, gone. Ronald Reagan. It was the same kind of a deal. Now, of course, the argument should be made that Reagan was just classier. All right, Reagan was classier. He was more politic in his speech. But all the, you've got Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump both end up having to deal with nuclear-armed communist regimes, right? And they both took them down by beginning with harsh rhetoric, the evil empire rhetoric, the Rocket Man rhetoric, the little Rocket Man rhetoric. Don't forget, these are bad people we're dealing with, okay? And I want to address that a little bit. When Donald Trump was doing the speech this morning after the meeting, several of the reporters asked some version of the question, how can you justify meeting with and dealing with and negotiating with this mass murderer? Okay, Kim Jong Un is a mass murderer. He's an evil man. He's done evil things. Okay, he's had family members assassinated. He's assassinated political dissidents, political opponents. He runs a gulag state and is in love with the worship of himself. Okay? Kim Jong Un is not a nice guy. Well, how do you go into the negotiating table with this guy that's committed so many human rights atrocities? How do you don't? How do you don't go to that table? Because here's the real question. Would you prefer that we not meet him at the table and just allow the atrocities to continue? Okay? Our options here are enter the country under force and eliminate Kim and his regime. Just kill them all. I'm comfortable with that option. I really am. I'd be happy to get in on that mission. It'd be a lot of fun. Or broker peace talks, get the information about what it is to live free, to, eat dinner every night, eat breakfast in the morning, to have food, to have medicine, to have access to information, to have access to education that's not strictly state propaganda. Okay? You get that information. You make the North Koreans, you make that information available to North Korea, and Kim doesn't last. He gets replaced, he gets toppled, he gets assassinated by his own people. He doesn't last in the position that he holds currently. But that doesn't happen without some measure of ending the war in North Korea and some measure of reunification. Until there is a mechanism to switch off the demilitarized zone, to get some minesweepers in there, clean it out, and start allowing people free transportation between the North and the South, allowing people to reunify with their families that they've been separated from since the Declaration of Armistice. Until that happens, there is no curing the human rights atrocities unless we go in under force and actually kill Kim Jong Un and all of his advisors and supporters and regime. That's it. There isn't another option. You have peace or you have slaughter. Those are your options. So why not pursue the one that makes the fewest bodies? Right? I mean, a chance to a chance to decrease the surplus population. Thank you, Mr. Scrooge. But there are other options. Right now, that option is peace. Concessions that we got from Kim Jong Un. A hard commitment to denuclearization. And I hate the expression trust but verify. I personally believe that if you feel you need to verify, then you don't trust a person. In the case of Kim Jong Un, I say verify, verify, verify. The man is a liar. His father was a liar. His grandfather was a liar. They've promised to denuclearize on no less than 8 occasions, and they have not done so. The fact of the matter is, you cannot operate from a position of trust with this guy, but you cannot afford to not operate from a position of optimistic hope. Be optimistic. Be hopeful. Absolutely verify. And with any luck, this goes well. If we get peace with North Korea, then Trump's threat to destroy, to annihilate North Korea that he made before the UN is his tear down the wall moment. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We've also gotten the hostages released from North Korea. Now, I want to address some left-wing criticisms. There's been a lot of this, double standard, blah, blah, blah. When Barack Obama said he'd meet with these leaders like Kim Jong Un and certain Middle Eastern leaders without preconditions, the right was unhappy about it and bitched about it. And this, yes, we were unhappy about the prospect that he was agreeing to meet with those leaders without preconditions. Donald Trump walked away from the Singapore summit and forced Kim Jong Un to beg him to come back. Kim Jong Un threatened to cancel the summit. And as soon as he made that threat, Donald Trump said, okay, fine. No summit. Whoa, 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 I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Come back, come back, come back. Okay, that is a concession. That is a precondition right there. You will meet under my terms, or we will not meet. That is a precondition. Prior to the meeting was the securing of the 3 hostages, the 3 POW, well, hostages, not POWs. Contrast that with Barack Obama's record. He got us a traitor that he traded 5 valuable enemy combatants for. Bo Bergdahl, he got us a traitor back. And I'm not going to go deep into Bo Bergdahl. I've talked about that before. It is important that our soldiers know that we have their back. So even a shitburger traitor like Bergdahl should expect that we will take measures to recover him if he's captured by the enemy. But trading away 5 enemy combatants and then giving Bergdahl the slap on the wrist of a dishonorable discharge and a hefty fine? No. Treason. Article 3, Section 3. No uncertain terms. More than 2 witnesses. Penalty is death. That is treason. Engaging in acts of war against the United States or providing aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States, Bergdahl should not be breathing. And then the other hostages we paid $100 million apiece for them. Barack Obama paid $400 million to the Iranians to release 4 U.S. hostages. When he did that, he told the world, American citizens are worth $100 million apiece if you can catch one. That is what he declared at that moment. The correct answer should be that if you take a U.S. citizen hostage, all the hell in the world will rain up your nose. If you capture, oh God, I forgot his name now. Otto Warmbier. The answer when Otto Warmbier was taken should have been the deployment of a special operating team that went in and slaughtered everything between their entry point and exfil time. The answer to the capture of a U.S. citizen should always be fire and blood. The Donald is getting closer and closer to doing everything right. So the bottom line is today, we got a winner chicken dinner, baby. Is it over? No, not by a long shot. Remember, it took 2 years after Mr. Gorbachev was told to tear down that wall before that wall came down. This is a process. It takes time. But this is a good first step in that process. I'm optimistic. I'm happy with the result. But make no mistake, there is nothing Kim Jong Un can do that will convert him into being a good person. That ship has sailed. But he can still do the right thing and allow his country to be given access to pursue prosperity and happiness. He can still do the right thing. Even if he can never be a good person, he can do the right thing. And the Donald just might make that happen. I'll see you soon. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure you share this video. And remember, if you build a man a fire, you'll keep him warm for the evening. But if you set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life.